Hello there. Welcome to the REI Friends Podcast. My name is Catherine Storing. I go by Kat. I am your host, and I just interviewed Jeff and Dakota. And when I tell you, this couple, they started so subtle, but they are an amazing duo when it comes to real estate investing. And I would say life too. I want to be their friends. They're so cool, and they share so much about how they got started, how many obstacles they overcame, how they left their respective full-time jobs. It's an awesome story, how one pulled the other out. And I love how they work together so well. I think it's a testament of choosing the right person in life and in business and then putting it together. Oh my God, amazing. So if you're looking also for someone to mentor you and you have some skills, there's a very specific skill that Jeff and Dakota shared towards the end of the interview. And if you like what you hear or see, and I believe you will, you definitely want to connect with them and find out what they're looking for and see if you qualify and if you can work with them. So make sure that you listen all the way to the end and check out the show notes so you can find out how you can follow them on social media, connect with them, and learn how they are doing tremendous things and be able to be full-time in real estate investing, even though they have not been doing it for a long time and they don't have that many doors, but they talk about how they did that. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and listen or watch, because you can watch on Spotify or YouTube. You can watch them and see how cute they are and also how they got to where they are today. So go ahead, start watching or listening right now. Hi guys, welcome to the REI Friends Podcast. How are you?
Hello. Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm very excited. Can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. I'm Jeff Barker, former IT professional and turned REI investor.
And I'm Dakota Workington, and I was previously in the medical field. I was a physician assistant, and as of December became a full-time real estate investor. And together we are Opinicon Investments. That's our company.
I love it. I love that you said that you're a former IT professional. So now you're not a professional. You're IT, just not professional.
I'm not in IT anymore. Anybody asks me IT questions, I say, I don't know. I retired from that gig.
That is so good. Yeah. So both fields that you guys come from are, you can make quite a good money doing that, but I know a lot of people get burned out. So what gave you the idea, or when did you decide I don't want to do this anymore?
For me, I was just not really all that passionate about IT. I went into the space because there was good money. I had an understanding of computers and growing up, and I had a lot of exposure to them. But I never had a big passion for it. So when I discovered the power of real estate investing, I was really drawn to that.
And I guess myself, so when I first discovered real estate investing, it was actually Jeff that introduced it to me. I was relatively new in the medical field. So he introduced it to me and I had no interest in it. And I ended up going to like a one-day seminar, and that totally changed my outlook on real estate investing. Still at the time, I wasn't thinking I was going to do it full time. It was going to be like I don't want to call it a side gig, because I don't ever want to call real estate investing a side gig, but just like to supplement our income. And then being a medical professional, especially during COVID, things got very tough. I got very burnt out in the medical field. And thankfully, we had actually already started real estate investing at that time. So it was actually during COVID that I really decided that I wasn't going to be able to continue my career in medicine, and decided to do real estate full time. So that's where that transition happened.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think COVID expedited many things. Like I think some people that would have been burned out 5-10 years in the future, COVID just accelerated everything. And people said, if this, one, life is short, right? And two, ain't nobody got time for this, I'm out.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think I could have stayed in the medical field for a bit longer had COVID not happened. Even going into COVID, I was definitely burning out, but I didn't notice it or didn't appreciate it as much. But like you said, COVID definitely accelerated that. And I was very happy to have real estate investing as something that I could transition into.
That's so good. I think it leads into my next question, and I'm glad for you guys it worked out. But knowing what you know now, are you glad that you started when you started? Because if you hadn't started, you wouldn't be able to just leave, right?
Yeah, I think I don't want to say it was lucky. I when we started real estate investing, and as we got into it, we knew that eventually we would want to leave our jobs and do it full time. I think it happened faster than we had initially thought it would. But the time seemed right. We looked at sort of our financial situation. We looked at where we were in our real estate investing journey. We had actually put ourselves in a position to leave our jobs like 2 years prior, sooner than we had initially planned. So yeah, we were, I'm going to say lucky again, and I don't love that word, but we were lucky to be in the positions that we were in when I got burnt out and when he realized he didn't want to do IT anymore, so that we were able to leave.
Yeah, that's so good. So I think something that you said that's really key. You guys put yourself in a position. So you made some decisions and maybe some sacrifices along the way to be able to do that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
For sure. But I think what you were alluding to with that is really that we had scaled our portfolio. So we had 4 flips on the go while we were working our full-time jobs. And that we realized was the ceiling.
Yeah.
So we didn't have any additional time really for anything outside of that. So working 9 to 5, both of us, and then trying to project manage our 4 flips evenings and weekends, basically. It made it extremely difficult. So that's when we realized one person at least would need to get out of their jobs to focus on the business full time.
Yeah, we had also, so when we first started real estate investing, we were very focused on doing buy and hold. As most people in the real estate investing world know, that is a great way to generate like long-term wealth, generational wealth. You get all your profit centers out of buy and hold. So that's how we sort of jumped into it, was in a buy and hold mindset. And then when we realized that we wanted to leave our jobs sooner than we had initially thought, we actually kind of changed our approach. So we'd already had some buy and hold, and we changed our approach and decided that we were going to flip for a little while to get some active income to get ourselves out of our jobs. So that's where we ended up into the flipping world, doing a lot of flips all at the same time. But that put us in a position to be able to leave because we had that active income. So that's where I think we made a really good decision, sort of about a year after we started, that we were going to pivot our approach to match our goals. And that put us in a position to be able to leave.
Yeah, that's so good. So I'm so glad that you guys were able to see if we keep doing this, we're going to get there. It's just going to take us a little longer. So you midway decided, wait a minute, there's another way to do this. Is that because you were looking at the numbers, or you were looking at how the market was appreciating so fast, or a combination of everything?
I'd say a combination. We did the math, and we figured out how many doors we would need to be able to replace our income. And as you stated earlier, in both of our fields, we were making decent money. Yeah. So that's a lot of doors that we realized that we would need to replace that income. So that's where the flipping came in, and we said we need something a little bit more active rather than just buy and hold and try and retire off of cash flow. We decided that flipping would be the best bet. We're leaving some money on the table. You lose out on the different profit centers, like Dakota mentioned before, but I think it put us in a good position.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you have any internal conflict or with each other when you decide to drastically switch from buy and hold to flipping, or were you guys both on board like, oh no, flipping is the way to go?
I think we both understood that pretty easily. That's not where I thought you were going to go with that question. So I had a big smile on my face. But
I think we sat down and we realized that this was our goal, and it just made sense with where we were going. We knew that, like, even this year we've transitioned back to doing multifamily. So this year we're really focusing on multifamily, and I think we just knew during that time that was going to be our goal. We were going to get back to multifamily. but this is what we needed to do to sort of reach that first milestone to really be able to scale our business. Because we saw this as something that we wanted to do full time. And in order to get there, we needed to get out of our jobs. So I think we just both had that understanding.
That's so good. So I don't want to leave this on the table. So what do you think I was going to ask you, Jeff?
I thought you were going to ask if there was like a conflict between us transitioning from our full-time jobs into real estate full-time.
Okay. So was there ever any conflict when you transitioned from your full-time job to full-time REI?
It flip-flopped a little bit between which one of us was going to, I'll say, get to leave our jobs first.
Okay.
Because one person was going to do it and the other one was going to stay in their job for another year. What
do you guys do? Paper, rock, scissors?
No. So because of the medical field burnout that Dakota was going through, we decided it was best for her to leave. She was in a very toxic environment. So that was kind of the decision that we made for her to leave first. And then I was supposed to stay in for another year. I lasted 2 weeks. And then I put
No way.
Yeah.
I was working from home. I was in my office, stuck in meetings all day. And Dakota was now working from home, no longer in the hospital. And she was working on the business and she was very busy still working on the business. So I was always wanting to come out and assist, but I couldn't because I was stuck doing something that I didn't enjoy. And so 2 weeks later, I put in my resignation and 1 month later I was out. So
I remember him walking. So I remember being at like our kitchen table. So he's in this office, he walks out and you either had your computer or like your actual paper, you printed it.
I printed it so I could sign it.
Yeah. So he had printed his 2 week notice and he walks out with it and he's like, I'm submitting it. I'm like, wait, 2 weeks ago, this was going to be a year. But honestly, again, like we sat down and we were like, we have projects on the go. We have flips that are going to be selling this year. We
have RSPs.
Yeah, we had some like a financial net just in case. So I was like,
yep.
Okay, we're doing it. So
it was a bit of a leap of faith.
Yeah.
But we believed really in ourselves to be able to make sure that this is going to work and we're not going to fail. So I don't even say that I can always go back to IT. I don't want to say that because I don't want to do that.
Right. That is so good.
Let myself get to that position.
Yeah. So you're not even letting that be an option. I love that. And I love that you bet it on yourself. And I think when you know you and you know what you can do and you decide this is going to work, the options are this is going to work or this is going to work. Then it's gonna work, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There's no other option.
Yeah. If your why is strong enough and you're gonna push yourself to that why, then you're not just gonna let yourself fail, right? If you're gonna take that leap, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't a fully blind leap either. Like Dakota said, we had that net. We had 4 projects that were on the go, right? They're gonna sell. And then we've gone through coaching programs for real estate specific. So we have education in that space. So that's what really allowed us to scale in the first place and get those 4 projects at the same time. I think that was kind of what really helped make that decision.
Yeah, that is so good. I know a lot of people are hesitant to invest because some have invested in the wrong programs. How did you get lucky, or did you know where and with whom you wanted to invest in terms of education?
Yeah, we were very specific when we sought out our coaches. So initially, because we were doing converting bungalows into 2 legal units, and at that time we had sort of decided that we wanted to do some flipping. So we found someone, and we didn't even know if she was a coach or not. We found her. She was doing exactly what we wanted to do in our city. And we went after her and we're like, teach us how to do what you're doing, because we want to be where you are in a year and 2 years. So that's how we found our first coach. We didn't even it ended up, she was actually a coach through a program called Black Card University. So we ended up hiring her on. And then this year, again, when we decided that we wanted to do multifamily, we knew that there was kind of one guy who he's really in the multifamily space.
The godfather of real estate.
He's been titled in our area the godfather of real estate. So, we knew we wanted to do multifamily. He was the guy to go to. So we were like, he's our next coach. So I always tell people, if they're looking for a coach or a mentor, just first of all, figure out what you want to do. And maybe it takes getting into kind of an entry-level coaching program to figure that out. But once you know what you want to do, go and find the coach that's actually doing it. Because I think a lot of people just, they hear hype about a program, they jump into it, they don't get out of it what they want, they get discouraged. But it's not that necessarily the coaching program was bad, it's just meant it wasn't aligned with your goals. Yep. So we were very specific when we went after our coaches. They were basically just doing what we wanted to do.
That's so good. It sounds like you guys did a lot of homework before you made all your jumps, knowing your numbers, your finances, knowing where you needed to be. And I think that was key to know, wait, if we continue doing this, it's going to take us too long and we're miserable. We need to make a change. And then instead of talking about making the change, you made the change and then made another executive decision. Okay, one of us is going to go. And then the good thing is that one pulled the other one out.
Yes. That is probably the best way I've heard it described.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to describe it from now on.
Yeah.
See, you can borrow that.
Dakota pulled me out.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe you saw her, you said it, she was busy, but maybe she was happier, right? She was probably so engaged and doing things that you wanted to, you said it's doing things that you wanted to be doing. And you're like, okay, she's having all the fun. And I'm stuck here talking about IT, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. That's for sure.
That is so good. And I love what you said. I want to make it kind of emphasize that, because you're right. A lot of people invest a lot of money, and just because someone is successful in real estate, which is really broad, you really need to know what type of real estate investing you are interested in, and then find someone that is not only doing it, because many people are doing it, but are where you want to be. That was the key that I got out of that. Yeah. Find someone. And then I love what you say. You went after her and you didn't even know she was a coach, but you know she was going to teach you one way or another. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we bombarded her for about 3 months. Yeah. I think she actually wasn't a coach when we first asked her, and we just kept asking. And eventually she magically became a coach. So yeah. I don't know. And then the other thing actually that's really important with coaching programs is actually doing the stuff.
Taking action.
Yeah. So I think what I've heard a lot is people getting into programs and just thinking it's going to be this like magical thing that's going to make them successful. But making sure your coach is going to give you homework. So do the homework, do above and beyond that homework, like really push yourself and invest, like put yourself into that program and just kind of give her. just give her.
Just give her, bud.
But like seriously taking action in that coaching program is a big thing.
Yeah, no, I would say that. And I always, when I used to coach people that were new into coaching, I would always ask them to charge more, because the less they charge, the less people either show up or do the work, because it didn't cost them that much. But the moment that they increased the price, you best believe people were showing up. They were asking more questions, doing the homework, because there was more pain because they invested more. So I'm not saying invest more in a course, but really look at, if they're only charging you $100, what are you really going to learn that you cannot Google yourself?
And how much effort are you going to put in after only spending $100 on it?
Exactly. Know thyself. It's like, I know someone that she knows she cannot do pre-recorded courses. So she will do a course that requires her to go somewhere and learn live. So if you know yourself, don't invest in a course that doesn't cater to the way you learn. That's another thing that I always tell people to do, because otherwise you're gonna just throw away your money.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I know we try to make sure that people, because we've taken on some mentees, and the first thing we typically ask is for them to read a book. And there have been so many people that just haven't read the book. And I'm like, well, if you can't even read a book, I'm not going to mentor you. I want people that are pushing themselves and willing to put in that extra work. And if it's as simple as reading a book, if they can't do that, I'm like, second guessing if I want to mentor them.
Yeah, they're not a fit. And that's something that I heard Terry Crews said in an interview, that he would have people that wanted to learn the business, and he's like, okay, you can work for me. And when they make a mistake, he will be like, okay, you're fired. Okay, there's nothing you can say. You cannot work for me anymore. But what did you learn? Like, he was like, I'm going to give you a chance, do all these things. And if they didn't do it, he didn't give them a second chance. And I love that about him. He's like, I'm a very, like, you guys are busy. Like, even though you don't have quote unquote regular jobs, you probably work more hours than you worked before, right? So if you're going to mentor someone, the least they can do is be the right mentee by doing the very few things that you probably are requiring them to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So good. So, okay, so you both quit your jobs. Dakota does that, pulls Jeff out. And what's next? So how many houses did you have for the buy and hold at that time?
When we left,
we had one with 2 units,
right?
Okay.
And we were in the middle of converting another one into like a bungalow into 2 units. So
wow. Okay.
We had 2 doors only.
Okay.
And then knew that we were going to have 4 soon, but we also had 3 flips on the go, and we were going to be closing on one soon to start another one.
Yeah. Wow.
So it wasn't so much the number of doors, like we had said, it was the number of flips that we had. And we just, we trusted our ability to do the flips and that we were going to make money on them. And that's where we put our trust when we left.
Yeah. And even the timing of that, right? Because you guys did those flips before everything kind of slowed down and people stopped kind of buying a little bit, right?
Well, we still have some though. Like, we have one that's listed right now, and we have one that's finishing in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do our flips in a way that they're like mid to high end. So even in markets that slow down a little bit, they're still pretty, I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit right now, but they're pretty impressive flips. Like they're nice homes. So even in a market that's slowing down, they sort of stand out on the market. So we're still hopefully going to have success with them. But we sold one flip actually right after we left our jobs.
Okay.
And
it was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, that one gave us a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Nice. That is so good. I think you mentioned a couple of things that are key in any market. If you have a good deal, if you have a good property, someone's going to buy it.
Yeah.
So if you take care of the property and do your numbers right, and you're in the right market, someone will buy it. So I think anyone that's scared about what's happening, things are slowing down, people always need to sell, people always need to move for different reasons. I did a reel today, and I was saying something that one of my coaches said to me a long time ago. She said, I chose not to participate in the last recession. And I thought that was so bold. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. And I did. And that's when I made the most money, because I said, you know what? That's not for me. And I just made that decision. And I think sometimes if you're serious about what you want to do, you have to say, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to do my homework, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to meet the right people because I'm in the right place and I have the right property. And I think you guys seem to have that attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a very good point. I think in any market, you're able to find deals, but you have to have the education to know what those deals look like, because it might be a little bit different in the different areas of different periods of the cycle. But there's always deals. And it tends to be when people are getting scared of the market and running away, that you should be like running towards the market, because that's when you're going to find good deals. And
it's a fire sale.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So when everybody else is scared, you should be like, okay, so how can I get into the market right now? Because you should be the one that's not scared and pushing yourself into the market.
Yeah.
Right. That's so good. So when you guys have jobs, you still had 3 or 4 flips going at the same time? 3?
We had 4 projects.
4 projects. Okay.
It was 3 flips and one that we were converting into 2 units.
So how were you managing that? Obviously you had different crews, or you had the same crew working on all the properties?
We have different teams that we work with.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were more on the project management side of it. We don't get in there with the hammer. I get in there with the sledgehammer on day one, but that's just for fun and stress relief.
And he basically wears, he wears a suit.
I'll do it in a suit. Yeah, it's great. Good
Throws
photo
one
op.
hole into the wall,
And that's it.
That's demo.
Sometimes I'll kick the wall too.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, we did some karate kicks, I think, on one of our last projects.
Nice.
Yeah, Cobra Kai had just come out, so.
There you go. Yeah, so you can be the grandfather of demolition. How about that?
Yeah.
Love it. That's great.
Yeah, and then that's the extent that we, other than like maybe you're like raking the lawn in the fall or
We'll do what we
shoveling
need to
some
do and
snow,
get our
but-
hands dirty every once in a while.
Right. But how were you able to manage all those projects while you're doing your job? Were you like doing things in between meetings, or were you waiting until you finish the job and then get back to all the questions, or like how will you manage your time?
Well, I can't get fired, so definitely in
That's right.
between meetings. If you asked me that previously, I would have said, "Oh no, it's always evening."
After work hours.
5. Yes.
It was basically whenever we could.
Yeah.
I know like during lunch, I'd be like eating my lunch and like on like looking for new properties and calling somebody if I had to. So it was really like when we could insert it in our day, and then definitely at the end of the day and weekends.
It's very hard to get contractors to meet you after hours.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And even like going to a lawyer's office and like picking up keys, things like that. Like if you're working 8 to 4, 9 to 5, whatever that may be, it's really hard to get places during the day. So that's where we found that we were struggling a lot, that we couldn't get to the lawyer's office and get our contractors out on evenings and weekends. So that's definitely gotten a lot easier, but I mean, we managed, right? Like you manage it, you figure it out, as long as you're managing your time well and time blocking. I mean, we had these projects going on, and we were in a coaching program, and we were working full time. So you figure it out. If you're motivated enough, you figure it out. But you do get to a point that enough is enough, and you have to do it full time.
Yeah, that's so good. The reason why I asked that is because I'm sure there are people already listening or watching and be like, well, I work full time, right? Or I have kids or whatever, right? So you guys have very demanding full-time jobs, and you have so many projects, and you figured it out. So there's a way. You mentioned also time blocking. If you guys don't know what that is, Google it. It's very, very basic, but it will definitely change your life. And then just decide that you have enough time. Sometimes it's a matter of saying, I have enough time. I remember years ago, I graduated high school a long time ago, and I know that Napoleon said once, dress me slow because I'm late, or something like that, right? And just the fact that he took the time to do it well once, he was able to have enough time. So it's a matter, we all get the same amount of time every single day. And it's just a matter of how we invest it, because it is an investment. How do you invest it that you're gonna be able to or not be able to complete all the tasks that you have?
Yeah, our coach often says procrastination doesn't exist. It's just not that important to you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Can't take the credit for that one.
That's why I said our coach says it.
That's good. That is so good.
But it's brilliant, and it hits.
Yeah,
it's true.
It comes down to like maybe we watch less Netflix at the end of the day, right? Like Netflix is replaced with going through some coaching modules, or preparing what we need to do the next day. And I think that's where you make that time. So there's a lot of things that you're doing during the day that maybe you don't need to spend that much time on. Put your phone down for a little bit and get off Instagram and Facebook. Don't watch as much Netflix. And I think that helped. I mean, obviously we were very motivated to do these things. So it just meant that our priorities went into different places. And maybe we disappeared from our friends for a little while. I don't know. But
Yeah. And it's making those sacrifices now. So later you can spend more time with them and be able to be on the phone if you want to watch. The good thing about Netflix is that show is not going to go away. Either you can watch it on Netflix or you can buy it later on Apple TV or Amazon or something. So it's not going to go away. You can watch it later.
Not live.
It's not live. Exactly. So let me ask you this, because maybe you guys saw a different side of each other once you decided to be partners in business. Did you see any side of each one where you're like, do you have any friction, or how do you guys find out that you work together when you were each other's bosses, let's just say, or partners?
I think so. We've been kind of exploring this a little bit more, especially now that we're both home a lot together, and we work together, and we're, still life partners, and we've been trying to sort of navigate, how to do all of that, keep the relationship, like the life partner relationship going, and keeping the business relationship kind of, I don't want to say separate because it can't be separate, but making sure you have time for both of them. I think the good thing with us is that we kind of fell into our strengths, roles, whatever you want to call that, pretty easily. I mean, he's very technical. His background is IT.
Perfect, right?
Analytical.
So that's his thing. Don't give me anything technical. Don't give me instructions I have to read. I literally don't care. I will just go and do the thing. So I'm very my medicine background is relationship building and building rapport with people. So I think we kind of naturally fell into kind of business roles, which was really convenient. So there wasn't a whole lot of friction as far as who's doing what, because where the things I maybe wasn't as strong at, he was stronger at. And then we're also kind of helping each other with the things we're not, helping each other grow in those areas that we're not as strong. So it's so far been pretty good, but again, it is hard to navigate trying to it's dinner time. Maybe let's stop talking about real estate for 5 seconds.
Right.
Even if we go out for dinner, it's okay, we're gonna have a date night. And then it's did you see that property come through? Did you see that?
All of a sudden we can write off the dinner.
So it's tough. It's something we're still navigating. We're still working on it. It is a work in progress. I think it always will be. But there wasn't any major struggle, I don't think.
No, I think there's been a lot more trying to figure out what we don't like doing. And hiring somebody else to maybe do that for us.
That's key.
Like a VA or something like that. So that's kind of where our focus has been more, not on, hey, you're not doing this well enough. It's more, I don't like doing this task. You don't like doing this task. Let's get somebody else to do it.
Right.
That's kind of been more the focus.
That's so good. What I have noticed, I have interviewed quite a few people that they work with their partner, whether the partner was on the interview or not. But what I'm noticing is that they were a great couple before they were doing real estate together. And I think that strong foundation translated into being partners in real estate investing, because I have a feeling that if things were kind of wobbly before, and then you throw in this new baby, which is real estate investing, that I think things will unravel really quickly. So I think that's a great formula. If you do well as life partners, more than likely you will do well in the business. Would you agree with that?
I would, yeah. We had a very strong foundation going in, so
and
it makes a lot of sense.
I hope we would have figured it out by now, because we've been, I think, together for almost 5 and investing for 4 now. So we've actually investing for a good chunk of our relationship. And we're still getting married this year, so that hasn't ruined that. So there you go.
Awesome. Congrats. That's so exciting. So exciting.
So I mean, it's been 4 years and nothing's exploded yet. So I guess that's good.
That is good. I'm so excited for you guys. I had a guest the other day. We were saying that somebody needs to put together a dating program for people that are in real estate so they can meet up and get together.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen it. We talked about it. I'm like, that would be great, because that way you can match people up based on like what the skills are, and then it will be like a match made in heaven kind of thing. So
yeah. Like that.
Somebody listening, create that business.
Yeah. Whoever you are out there.
I can't do it. I'm not in IT anymore. So somebody.
See, there you go.
Darn.
There you go. Oh my God, that's so exciting. So okay, so you guys are doing the flips, and one's in the market, one is about to be on the market, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you
by the
finding
time this airs, it's already listed.
Okay, nice. Awesome. So how are you guys finding your deals? Like, what's your, don't give me your formula, but like, what's your criteria when you're looking at this is gonna work for us based on how much money we want to make, or the kind of property that you guys are going after?
So I guess we could talk about flips first. I mean,
Yeah.
first and foremost, there has to be value add, right? So there needs to either be a rundown property, like a hoarder house, or those are usually pretty good, or just dated, right? But we've found them. We have deal flow. I mean, we'll buy off of MLS. We've bought from wholesalers. We've bought off of Kijiji. We've bought off of Facebook. This house that we're in right now, we bought off Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. Wow. You never know. And we do like flyer campaigns. We do signs. I have like stickers on the side of my car. Like it's the whole deal.
We put big signs out front of all of our projects as well, with our phone number on there, and saying like, we bought this house cash as is, yada yada yada, just to kind of get some free advertising space like that.
Yeah.
That actually got us a one of our contractors.
Yeah, you never know.
The sign on the front of our house.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna come out of those signs. And he's a pretty good contractor. We're lucky to have found him that way. So
that is so good. No, I had people that they fight over their like, you cannot take my contractor away. Once you get a good one, you don't want to lose them. So how are you finding, are you using private money, or are you using the previous deal to fund the next project?
It's all pretty much been private money. So we have various lenders that will do private mortgages. We've done lending off of promissory notes. So that's been most of our flip funding is that way. I think we have one B lender mortgage, but we got that back when we had our job still. So they don't like us very much anymore, unfortunately. So it's been mostly private mortgages.
So do you guys know about the private lending from the coaching program, or you guys were doing that before the coaching program?
Oh, that's
learned about it from the coaching program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you?
I didn't really understand. Yeah, it's a lot of networking as well, right? And relationship building, because a private lender is not just going to lend to anybody. They need to trust that you know what you're doing. You know that you know how to run your numbers, and just have that faith in you. So that's more of a relationship that you build.
Yeah,
that's a good.
Like, our first flip, it was because you're not proven, right? Like you don't have a track record. People, if you're like, hey, can you fund this deal? They're gonna be like, who are you? I'm not giving you money.
What have you done? Yeah.
Even like friends and family, right? They don't know what you're doing. They don't understand it.
They don't get it. They don't get
it. That's where the prom notes really came from. Were friends and family, and they didn't know that we had education in the space. They didn't know that we actually knew what we were doing. So it's all new to them, because it's new to us in their eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
If that makes sense.
But it really came down to, we had a lot of conversations with a lot of friends and family, and just saying, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the project. These are the numbers. And a lot of it was, they knew who we were. They knew that we were trustworthy people, and they were just willing to, to put their money and trust in us. And it was bringing together, smaller amounts of money and just collecting that all and building that up so that we were able to pay for the project. So it's not easy getting that first one. It's definitely possible, but you gotta you gotta have a lot of no's. People are going to tell you no a lot, but you just got to keep pushing through that and presenting yourself as an investor and showing that you have an opportunity for them. And eventually you'll collect enough that it will be enough to get that first project done. And then it happens after that, right? Like you're proven, you have
Right.
a product and people,
You've given people a return.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
That
people,
helps.
yes, giving people their money back also helps with the
Yeah.
with some of the money that they've made.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, it gets a lot easier. But that first one is tough, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah. A lot of people are interested in the real estate space. They know that it's a good investment, but they don't know how to get into it.
Mm.
And so if you present them with a good opportunity, then they may just sign you a check.
And that's the biggest thing, is opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it was that
Oh, yeah,
mindset.
for any new listeners.
Yeah, it was
This
that
is
mindset of you're taking their money versus you are giving them an opportunity.
Yeah.
So that was a big mindset shift that we had when we first started, was we're not like asking for a favor, right? Like,
Right,
you're
right.
providing them an investment opportunity. So that was a big mindset shift that we had at the beginning, which helped a lot. And it also helps how you're presenting it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so good. I think you're helping a lot of people right now, because you're not making it sound like it was like flipping a switch and all of a sudden people are like, here's our money, or
Oh, no.
that you were
There were a lot of no's. There were
Yeah.
definitely a lot of no's. There
or
still
that
are.
you were, yeah, or that you were independently wealthy. So you were like, oh, I'm just gonna write a check, right? So it's the tenacity of, we're gonna make it work one way or another, changing the mindset of, I love that. We're not taking their money. We're not begging. We're literally, because a lot of people that don't realize that they do want to make money, but they don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to know about the numbers, not the way that we like it. They don't care about the comms. They don't care about the contractor doing it on, just give me my money, give me my return.
Yeah.
And that's all they care about. And those people are the best people to give you money, because all they want is, oh, you've done it before. You have this many projects. This is what your expertise is. And you're going to give me back my money in 6 months, 9 months, 2 years. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
What's my return and how long is it going to take?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Exactly. That's so good. So I think it's having that mindset of, I'm helping them.
Yeah.
And this project is going to get me closer to where I want to be. Kind of like it's almost like your main focus should be getting that first deal done successfully. So that can be your show and tell. So you can, oh, who are you? I've done this, and maybe we had these problems, and I fixed this, and that. And now I have this opportunity for you.
Yeah. And actually, you bringing up like, these are the problems, is actually good to show people that you ran into issues. So that's something that we've realized recently, that actually telling people, like, I had this problem, but this is how I solved it. Right. Because if you're going to run into problems, it's how it is. It's real estate. Like, it's going to happen. But if you're able to show that you can problem solve these issues, which everything I say is figure outable.
Yeah.
Like, you can problem solve it. So actually showing people and telling people, if you have investors and they're invested in a project, this is the problem we ran into. This is how we're solving it. We're going to get it done. It's fine to run into problems. You just have to make sure that you have an ability to solve them.
Yeah, that is so good. I think you
and people
probably
love the
helped.
transparency as well.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. And it's and people understand that any business or anything you do, really, you are going to run into issues, and you can either quit, or you can decide, okay, this is the problem. How do I fix it? Who has fixed this before? That's a big one for me. Who's fixed it before? How do they fix it? Or one question that I started asking myself that's really helped is, instead of asking like, oh my God, this is so difficult, I asked myself, okay, what if it wasn't difficult? How would I fix it? And somehow asking it that way, immediately I come up with an answer that maybe I cannot fix, but then now that answer gives me the answer that I need. So just changing my mindset about, okay, this is a problem, but what if it wasn't? And then I continue to ask questions until I get to the point of, oh, I fixed it, just by changing my mind. So
I love that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
That is so good. So you guys are getting married, you have all these projects, you don't have jobs anymore. Like, woo, like life is good, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's really fun being in a community that's like celebrates the fact that we're jobless. It's so great.
Yeah, we went to a mastermind recently, and anytime we would say that, everybody would just start whistling and clapping. It's just so much excitement. Say that anywhere else, and people are like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?"
Right. Yeah, I find that people are very excited for you, and they'll ask you how many doors, but they'll also be excited about how you got the money. And I love the swapping, right? I don't feel that people are stingy because it's different markets, and people are, you might even be in the same state, but you have a different strategy. So I find that people are very generous with how much they share information or introduce you to people. So have you found that in your space or your state where people are generous with their information?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the most successful people have that abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, I can share my contractor with you because I know that that's going to come back to me 10 times, right? Like it's just that giving more than you take is huge. And I find that most successful people do that. And those are the people that we want to be hanging around.
That's good.
We had this conversation today because we have someone that we're mentoring right now, like we mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And there's like an event this weekend that our coach is actually putting on. And we're allowed to bring a free guest.
Oh,
so nice. I actually, I asked her if she wanted to come. And it was one of those things where it's like, there's not really that thought of like, is our coach going to steal her? Right? We just wanted to give her that opportunity to be in a room with a bunch of investors that a lot of them have been doing it for a long time. It's a great networking experience for her, and she's going to learn a lot. And if she signs up with our coach, and we lose her as a mentee, it is what it is. So it's really not worrying so much about, hoarding all this stuff and keeping it to yourself, because the more you share, the more you're going to end up getting back.
Yeah.
And we've found that in the majority actually of the real estate communities that we've found ourselves in. It's a unique space because you don't find that everywhere.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So are you guys open to new mentees? Like, what is your criteria? And are you charging them, or are they doing things for you in exchange of your time and knowledge?
It's actually funny because we had a conversation with somebody recently that wanted to be mentored and didn't have funds to put towards it because we would charge. But basically we were talking about whether there's something that she could do in the business while learning sometimes. So that was a conversation that we were having.
We ended up setting something up for her, and she ended up not wanting to. I think she got a job or something that kind of took her away from that. But it's a conversation that we've had, and we're happy to share our knowledge. Obviously, that's part of the reason that we're in this. We want to help other people grow as well. We do have to protect our time, obviously. So typically we do charge for people who want to be mentored. But if they come up with, something that they're going to present to us where they're able to take on sort of these tasks in exchange for mentoring.
Like social media.
Right.
We're more than happy to have those conversations, right? Because that's still value for value. So
absolutely. Yeah. Because some people, the reason why I asked that question was because people are listening, right? And we don't know what market they're in. And some may have the money, but what they really want is access to you and be able to look over your shoulder, even if it's digitally, and be able to learn by exposure. So I would say, based on what you both have said, ask. Because I always say asking is free. Nobody has ever died from hearing a no, at least that I'm aware of. So
I hope not.
Your ego might get bruised a little bit, but asking is free, and you can always ask in a different way. Especially if salespeople are really good at but what if it would be a yes? How will we get there? And I think it's just different ways of not asking, give me your time, and I'm not gonna give you anything in return. I'm a big proponent of adding value first. Yes. That is huge, especially people that heard now that you guys want or are open for social media help. Easy way to someone that is good at writing, creating content, loves already real estate investing, and just want to, like, you guys send them stuff, or they go to your one of your sites and create a whole bunch of content. And one, they're going to be around you. Two, they're going to be able to look at your projects and create the content for you. You'll be horrible people, or you wouldn't even be able to not to say, what can I do for you? Right? It just goes without saying. So sometimes it's a matter of that abundance mentality. If I give them And
Mhm.
I like this couple, more than likely they're gonna say, what can we do for you?
Yeah, exactly. I love that you said that adding value piece, because I think that's always something that we have in mind when we're going into conversations is how are we going to add value to this? And then if you're adding value, like you said, it becomes a two-way street. So that's especially if you're new, I know it's scary because you're like, what value do I have to add? But there's always something. There's always some sort of value you can add. So instead of like always, and this is one of Jeff's least favorite lines is, can I pick your brain?
Oh my God.
So try not to say that.
Just don't say it.
And
just can I pick your brain?
Think about how you're going to add value to that conversation. Even if you're new, there's going to be something that you can do to add value. Even if this person's been investing for like 40 years and you haven't even started yet, there's always some value you can add.
Buy a coffee. That's adding value.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's easy.
Yeah. Every time somebody says picking their brain, the first picture that I have, which is so vivid, is Hannibal Lecter. Like, I can't, like, don't pick my brain.
I mean, yeah, right?
Like, don't pick my brain. I don't have time for that. No.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep my brain where it is, please.
I need all the pieces.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can talk to you guys forever because I just love your energy. I love how you kind of feed off each other, which is so great to see. As we wrap up, knowing what you know today about real estate, what would you have done differently when you started?
Differently, I would have gotten a coach sooner. I mean, this could be a whole other episode. But our first project is a big story. We did it on our own without having that real estate. We knew enough to be dangerous, I think is the best way to put it. Luckily, we were living in the house. It's actually the one that we converted the bungalow to 2 units. We were living upstairs and converting the basement, but there was a lot of trial and error with that one. And that was because of lack of education. So having a coach, somebody that's able to guide you through the process and learning from their mistakes as well is another big part of having a coach.
Absolutely.
So I would have done that sooner.
What about for you, Dakota?
I was going to say the exact same thing. I always think back to our first project, and it was kind of almost a blessing that it went the way it did. If it had gone a little bit better, we may not have stopped at the end and said, okay, we need a coach. Because that was the moment that we were like, we are not doing this again. In the end, I mean, it's a successful project. It's making us money right now. But there were a lot of things along the way that we overspent. It took too much time, a lot of headaches. And that's what made us say we need to get a coach.
Right.
So
knowing what you have learned with a coach, do you see where you guys went wrong?
Oh, 100% in so many ways.
Yeah.
Like so many ways.
Like I said, this could be a whole episode in and of itself.
Yeah. Well, we might have to.
We'll just pick it right apart and be like, we learned this, we learned this, don't do this.
Yeah.
So good. So good. I'm excited. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Because I think people sometimes don't value time, and they think I'm going to pay with time, and you cannot get time back. So you might as well make that investment in. I always tell people, you're not paying people for what they know how to do. You are paying people for what they learn, how they learn how to get there. Like I always have the example of, what's this movie with Robert Downey Jr. with the red suit? He flies. Iron Man, right? So I think it's the first one where he's trying the suits, right? And he destroys his workshop, right? Things are not working. And one day he makes it fly and he goes too high into the atmosphere, stratosphere, whatever you want to call it. And then the suit is not able to handle that change of pressure, right? So he goes down. The bad guy steals the suit, the technology, but he doesn't know that because he didn't go through the process of putting that suit together. But Iron Man did, right? So when they're fighting, he takes him to that level. What happens to that guy? He goes down. But that's because he knew, right? So you can steal the formula, but if you don't know how they put it together, you're gonna have issues that you don't know how to troubleshoot because all you got is the end result without the secret sauce. So.
Yeah. It's always worth it to pay experts because they're going to do it much faster and much better than you will. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the big things we learned in our first project.
Yep. That is so good. So people have heard that you guys are open, that you would love to connect with someone that is awesome at social media, or any other projects that you have going on. Where can people learn more about you and find you online?
I think Facebook is probably the best place, Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. We are Opinicon Investments on Facebook and Instagram. And then we each have our personal pages as well. I think I'm like Dakota Workington. I'm Dakota Workington on Facebook for sure, and Dakota.Workington on Instagram.
Okay. We'll find it.
I'll confirm that.
Okay, that'll be great.
Yeah, a personal one as well, Jeff Barker. I don't know what the actual handle is to
okay.
search.
We will find it, put it in the show notes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Mm-hmm. Great. Well, this has been my pleasure. Literally. I'm so excited for you guys. I love how you guys work together. I love that Dakota pulled you out and you were able to quit. That was my favorite. This is such a great story. And I love how just her doing her thing made you realize, wait a minute, I want to be with her doing that same thing. So I'm out. And it really motivated each other to be where you are today. So I think you motivated a whole bunch of people. So thank you so much for taking the time for doing that. And I know for sure we'll bring you back to talk about that first property. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely.
We look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you. I bet it is. It sounds like it. We're going to have to record it soon. Thank you so much. There you have it, guys. This one of my favorite conversations. It was The Will That Is Away. You got a lot of information on how to get around things, how to deal with the no's, and just get started today, because that's going to be the project that's going to catapult you and open so many doors for you. So make sure that you go to the blog post and read all the resources that they share, follow them on social media, and subscribe to the channel, to the podcast, so you can listen to us on Apple, on Amazon Music, and on Spotify. And as usual, please know that I love you, that I'm rooting for you, and I'm gonna see you super duper soon. Bye.